This is the Grad Perspective, where fresh voices in sports media and business take to the mic. We often hear from the veterans, the industry giants decades into their career, but what about those just breaking in? I'm your host, Kira Johnston, and each episode I sit down with a Holmes Glen graduate who is making their mark in the industry. If you are chasing a career in sport or just want to know what it really looks like, you're in the right place. Honest conversations, real experiences, stories that inspire the next wave.
Now I just know them as Nick and Braden. I just put my head down and worked as hard as I could. I got hired because of the type of person I am and not the actual skills that I had. I never lose sight of it that these are like people's idols.
Today, I am joined by Ethan Hibbert, content producer of emerging platforms at Collingwood Football Club. Welcome.
Hello, thanks for having me. Thanks for bringing me on. It's interesting and cool to come back. It's the first time I've been back since I graduated, so it's an interesting feeling.
This is so exciting. I'm so excited to hear your story, Ethan. You mentioned it's a lot of the guests' first time coming back when they do this podcast. What did it feel like making the journey in?
Well, I came the opposite way to what I used to, coming from the city, but like parked in the same car park, came over, had to find where the room was. That was a bit interesting. I don't know, like I credit a lot of my career now to the course I did here, and I would no doubt have none of my career that I do have without the course, but I haven't come back, or like I don't think about it much otherwise. So yeah, it's a nice feeling, I guess.
I love that we get to welcome back people that are making such a mark in the industry and get to hear all about their story. Now, you listened to the first episode, so you're well aware what our first question is. I'll hand it over to you for your elevator pitch.
So I'm Ethan, 25, recently become a father to my little daughter Vienna, who's 5 months old. She's the most beautiful, cutest little thing ever. I don't know what my life would be like without her, really. I've always loved sport. I was one of the sporty kids growing up. Just played everything with a ball, with a bat, running around crazy. Always wanted to work in the sports industry because of that, but I didn't really know what it meant other than being a PE teacher. Then went through the journey of high school, ended up here at Holmes Glen. From there, an internship program, went through Rainmaker, SEN, 7 with 7 Sport, Casey Demons, Melbourne, and then that's ended me where I am now at Collingwood, which in what I think in the social team, which is one of the best, funnest, coolest, most enjoyable, most unique jobs that I could ever think of. And I don't think I would ever have thought when I was doing the course here that I would end up in a role like this at Collingwood. And I love it, and it's incredible.
A+. That was an incredible elevator pitch. I'm asking you to be employed wherever I'm working. If I was hearing that elevator pitch, you spoke about then your passion for sport when you were younger and assuming that would probably take you into a PE teacher role. I feel like that's all of us in high school, primary school, being like, sport, PE teacher.
It's all it like equated to in my mind. And then it wasn't until like year 10, 11 when I realised it's not just teaching kids how to play sport. It's muscles and bones, and my brain isn't complex enough.
No thanks.
And I ended up dropping it for year 12. So, but yeah, I had no idea what else sport could be other than that as a kid.
When did you realise that media was an avenue that you could possibly go down and it's one you were interested in?
Well, not even really media, just like I remember when you put in all your courses in year 12, like near the end for uni, I didn't actually know. Well, it was just filled with PE courses. And then I think maybe a few weeks out, I saw the Holmes Glen course while in my English class, not writing practice exams. Slotted it in at number 1 after coming to one of the info nights here with Dad. I just knew that I was like, that's kind of what I want to do. So I put it at number 1. And I don't know whether this is actually how it like works out in a timeline, but in my mind, I got a call from Robbie saying I was in the course before I did my year 12 exams. So I kind of clocked out and didn't really try. Whether that's actually the case, I don't know.
You can tell yourself that even if it's not.
So, and I was like surprised I got in it. And I guess it was a blessing in disguise, because if I didn't put it number 1, who knows whether that would have happened. But and then even I did sports business, so I didn't even do the media course. I've kind of fallen into the media side accidentally. And the media was never really on the radar for me, even while doing the course.
I love that you mentioned that because I wanted to go down that avenue. So many people go into uni thinking I'm going to be in exactly what I study and this is the path I'm going to go down. But I'm assuming when you went into the sports business course, you did not expect to be a content producer in the future.
No, like I think I chose the business one because I saw media was like TV commentating and all that sort of stuff, and I was like, I don't want to do that. But I didn't really know what the business side meant either. So I was kind of, until the internships came around, I didn't really know what I wanted to do yet anyway. I just knew that like my course would help me kind of figure it out. So yeah, I mean, it's worked out, isn't it? So
It's worked out very, very well. Your CV, I was telling you off air that I was having a look at your LinkedIn so that I could prepare this podcast, and I was scrolling through all the experience and I was like, oh my golly gosh, this is going to be a fun episode. So I'm looking forward to diving deeper into it. You mentioned the internship experience and you had one at SEN Rainmaker. You did a whole bunch of roles there. You did TV producing. You then went on to radio, panel op. Tell me about that experience.
yeah, so there's a like funny sort of backstory to how I got my internship there. So I was meant to do, so you do the whole process, like a job interview, you apply, blah, blah, blah. And then I went for a ticketing one at the Melbourne Aces. And it was kind of around the time when all the borders were opening up from COVID and all that sort of stuff. And even before that, I hadn't heard anything back. And I messaged Sharon and was like, oh, like what's going on here? Turns out they forgot about my application and then just said, without having an interview, like, yeah, we'll just take Ethan as well. So I was like, okay, cool. At least I've got something. A week later, they had to can the whole thing because the borders weren't opening, so the baseball season wasn't happening. All of a sudden, I'm left with no internship. Sharon's like, don't worry, we'll sort it out, all good. Maybe 2 weeks went past, and then I got a call from her, and she's like, all right, so I've got an internship for you. You can say no. It's up to you whether you like it or not. It's at SEN, it's at Rainmaker, doing like TV, production assistant, producing, all that sort of stuff. And like I was never going to say no. I think like I don't really know any sort of internship role that I would have said no to, but I was like, I have to say yes. And like it seems fun. Like what's the worst that can go wrong? I'm just absolutely appalling at the job, and at least at a minimum it's experience. So yeah, said yes to that, and then from there just like worked my ass off in that internship. I was doing 72-hour weeks back to back, like just not getting paid for it. Like, to be fair to them, they used me how they should. They worked me like a horse. But yeah, without the internship experience, like I would have had none of the opportunities I have today. Like that kickstarted everything. Like I got a job out of the internship experience with SEN. And yeah, like even hearing from other people that do similar sort of courses at other unis, like they have to go find their own places to do their internships. And the fact that Homesglen like just gives you that pathway. Like, yes, you still have to compete, and that's actually incredible. Like at the time as a student, you hate it. But like that whole process and how it pans out, and when you get it, you just want to try your best. Like it's incredible. And I think everyone would have the same opinion that like it's one of the best ways that it can set us up for like all the careers that we all have ended up having now.
You have such an incredible mindset to say, I'm absolutely not saying no, but then to not say no to a very, very media heavy internship when you are a business student is just absolutely incredible. And I think it is a credit to where you've ended up now because, well, for one, you've ended up in a media role and doing very well, but you've had a number of really successful roles and you're absolutely excelling. And I think it comes down to those very choices you made in uni. Would you say so?
Yeah, it'd have to be. But yeah, I think it's one of those things as well that once I kind of fell into it, I knew that this is what I wanted to do. Whether that was going to be working in TV forever or radio forever, I knew kind of pretty early on, like, yeah, this is pretty cool. I want to do this. And that I didn't want to actually do the business side of things, but I wouldn't have ever known that. I could have easily gone on down a different internship route, ended up doing PR or something, and I would have never known different. So yeah, so I always say to people that it's luck. It just happened how it is, but
you create your own luck, Ethan. You absolutely create your own luck. Take me to the day after graduation. So you've just completed all your internships, your assignments are done, and you've graduated, and you're out in the big, bad, scary world. Did you already have that role lined up at SEN or not yet?
I think so. I think I finished my internship like pretty close because I started late. I think I finished pretty close to like the deadline, and then so I think I already did have the job there, but it was only casual, so I had no idea whether it was gonna be 1 shift a week, 10 shifts a week, no idea. But I knew at a minimum, like at least for the resume, for the LinkedIn profile, like at least saying I did more than just an internship at SEM was pretty cool. In a way, I knew I was set up all right, but I had no idea like how much or little work I'd get.
Did you get a little bit? Did you get a lot? Fluctuated each week?
Well, I was, how long did I can't remember how long exactly I was as a TV production assistant for. Then that obviously evolves naturally into you can start producing a few little things. But then eventually they had to cut me and a few other casual shifts because we were working too much and they were paying us too much. So out of nowhere, it was actually that week of my life I'll actually never forget. So, like, not to be down on things, but I just started talking to my partner on Hinge, which
Love that.
We're still together 4 years later. And then on like the Wednesday, my mum got diagnosed with breast cancer, and then the next day, I got told I basically don't have a job at SEN anymore. And so it was just it was like good and then bad.
What an insane week.
Yeah, and like to Brad Kilbinski, I think his last name might be. Like it wasn't his fault. Like he was just told him his higher ups like you have to tell all these guys they don't have jobs anymore. And he was like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, it was horrible because I didn't know what that would mean. I guess that's kind of like that small fish in a big pond sort of thing. Like I had no idea what I would do now. But yeah, everything just like peaked and was bad that week. But again, it's then turned out all right because I got an opportunity through radio and it's just continued from there, yeah.
What a whirlwind of a week. Well, at least the Hinge bit worked out for
Yeah.
you. Now you've got a beautiful daughter, so that worked out well. You then went on to do digital content producing at Seven,
Yep.
and then also worked at the Melbourne Football Club as social media producer before your current role. Tell me about both those jobs.
Yeah, so after I did the TV with Rainmaker, that led to an opportunity panel upping the radio. So I did that for maybe, I think, like 9 months. Got to a point where, like, I was just like, I don't want to be a radio panel up for the rest of my life. So I wanted to look into something different. For some reason, I was like, social media seems pretty cool. I think I know how to edit things. I know how to, like, make a few graphics, sort of. So I'll just apply for a few jobs. I applied for the job at the Casey Demons for their social media producer, which is the closest VFL club to where I live, so that was great. And then at the same time, I was just messaging people like crazy on LinkedIn, just like, do you have any jobs, blah, blah, blah. Messaged Marcus Taylor, who was there at the time, who was, I think, head of, or 2IC, at Seven Sport. He replied back and said, yeah, do you want to come in, blah, 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 blah. It ended up being like a reverse job interview because I was there and they were basically like selling the job to me, saying like, does this sound cool? Like, do you want to work here? I was like, yeah, that sounds pretty cool. So within the space of like 2 weeks, they're both part-time roles at 17, the Casey Demons. And then from there, like, yeah, that next sort of year was pretty cool. I was doing like the clubland sort of stuff with Casey. And then like the more, what would you call it? Like the broadcast sort of social publishing with Seven, doing all whack sorts of sports at different times. So yeah, that was a pretty fun year.
Got to experience the best of both worlds.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And like I learned a lot that year as well. Like Seven, with Casey, like I was just out at VFL by myself, kind of learning on the go, looking at all other AFL teams and stuff and how they do things and just picking that up for myself. And then Seven, like it was a bit more strict on what we could post, but like you got all these random sports like hockey and surfing that you kind of just have to figure out what will probably do best to make people that don't care about these sports care about them. So yeah, that was pretty fun, and then led into doing like the FIFA Women's World Cup. That was really cool. But yeah, just like learning on the job, doing social media when I'd never actually really done social media before was like fun, interesting, everything. Like, yeah.
Was your time at Casey when you fell in love with Clubland vibes? Did you then decide maybe this is the path I want to go down?
I think so, yeah, because I was only meant to do 10 hours a week, but I was doing a lot more than that.
That's VFL for you.
Yeah. Well, not just by choice as well. Like, I just loved it so much that I was just doing extras when I shouldn't. Well, at least I wasn't getting paid for it. But I think so. I think from there I knew that if I did well at a VFL club, that would lead to bigger clubland opportunities, like whether it was AFL or A-League or even, I don't follow rugby, but if it was a rugby club, basketball, whatever. But I knew it was like a good natural stepping stone. Like I had to start there. Couldn't just get a job at Collingwood straight away. Yeah, and while working with them and then with Melbourne, because I got once the VFL season ended, I was offered a few like jobs on AFLW games. That's where I was actually with Melbourne. And just through working with them, like they gave me like the insight that like Collingwood's probably the best of what they do. So I was always looking at Collingwood as like the inspiration. But yeah, like I think the Casey job, just looking at what it could eventuate to, I think I did kind of know I wanted to end up at Clubland, yeah.
I'm very biased because I also have a background working in the VFL, and I would say to anyone starting out in the industry, if you have the opportunity, if you want to work in Clubland and you have the opportunity to work at a VFL club, absolutely do it. Would you feel the same?
Probably. Like, there's different ways to go about everything, but I feel like it is a great natural stepping stone. And for Melbourne to give me that chance there when I was open and said I haven't really done social media before, I've just kind of done TV and radio stuff. Like, you really can learn a lot. Well, you just get in what you get out, really. Like, I was really determined to learn a lot, always improve, get better as the season goes on. Wow, they sound like footy terms.
You are so impressive. I want to hire you.
But yeah, like I was just always, I kind of just had the mindset of just trying to just learn all the time. And because I knew it was only a one season thing. So whether I could do it again the next season, like whatever. But I don't know. It was just a real, to answer your question, yes. Start at the VFL.
Love it. As we mentioned off the top, you're currently content producer for emerging platforms at Collingwood Football Club. Hurts my Carlton heart saying this, but the biggest football club in Australia, and it is, I can only assume, a spectacular club to work for. What does your role entail?
Yeah, so I say this to my boss all the time. My job title doesn't actually tell people what I do. Essentially, like my primary focus is vertical video. Within that, primarily TikTok, but it stems into Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, YouTube Shorts. So anything that, whether it's game day, training, whether it's fans coming into training, there's things going on around the club. If we're planning for something and it needs a vertical video or should have, it'll like be up to me to execute it most of the time. And it'll be up to me to come up with ideas, plan and everything. But particularly this year, I don't know if you've heard of the TikTok ladder. Yes, so we take it very seriously.
Do you actually?
Very, very seriously.
Wow.
I would assume Hawthorn do as well, considering we're the top two. I know other clubs just like aren't really resourced enough for it. But yeah, there's a lot of thought and planning that weeks and months in advance for certain weeks that goes into that. But yeah, there's like, it is nuts trying to keep up with everything. And like we are very platform specific with how we post and go about things. But away from vertical, like I can take photos. I can use the FX3s, FX6s, the Sony cameras to video things if I really needed to. So I like to think I'm like really multi-talented, multi-skilled, and I can kind of just do anything that's asked of me on any given day. But primarily it's focusing on vertical videos, yeah.
I never would have guessed that clubs actually pay attention to the TikTok ladder. That is incredible. That actually makes me happy because I'm like, I love that clubs care that much. You mentioned off air, I know you're not meant to talk off air, but we did a little yapping beforehand, that you don't actually use TikTok on your personal account. You're not a TikTok addict like myself and most of our generation in Australia at the moment. How do you keep up with all the trends that are going on?
Yeah, probably shouldn't admit that. I mean, I've said this to my boss
You
before.
still scroll on Collingwood's account.
Yeah, like on Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, that's what I use mainly. But it is interesting primarily trying to post videos and TikTok trends when I don't actually use it myself. But I rely heavily off our whole team to come up with ideas and execute things. And particularly this year, I reckon almost at the end of every meeting, we're like, all right, what's trending? What's happening right now? Like, and we all have different algorithms. We all see different things, and what's trending or popping up for me is different to what comes up for you and everyone else. So we kind of just have this real trust with each other now that if something's trending or we think it's an all right video and we can execute it in our way, then we'll roll with it. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But yeah, it's interesting as well because I see things on Instagram and I try and take them to TikTok when, like, in theory, they shouldn't really correlate with each other. I use TikTok enough to do my job, really.
I love it. It's probably a really healthy thing that you're not addicted to TikTok because then your job and your home life would just be consumed by TikTok. So it's probably a really good thing.
It is anyway. Like that's like the one sort of, if I had to nitpick any negatives about my and our jobs, like we don't switch off and we can't. Like even when my daughter was born, that 3 weeks I had off a parental leave, like I'm sitting there just scrolling and I said, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. I'll save that. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Oh, I messaged my boss and tell him that they should do that this week. Like, we can't actually stop. And even 9 to 5, we leave work.
Doesn't exist.
We've got to be posting things all night.
Footy games don't happen between 9 and 5 on a Monday and
yeah,
Friday.
That as well.
It is an interesting job when you can't switch off. And, we have a really great job. It's an awesome industry to work in. But sometimes it does come with its challenges in the way that you can never switch off. Even when you're watching football, you're thinking about what you could post, what you can't post, things like that. How much of your job is planned in the sense of we will post this, this and this tomorrow, and how much of it is just organic day to day?
It changes. Like this week's pretty planned because there's quite a lot of things that happen. Then other weeks, that we won't have much planned at all, and it's kind of like, all right, what are we actually going to do this week? There's certain teams we come up against on TikTok ladder that we plan weeks in advance for, even months, and we just like bank videos for. So yeah, it kind of comes and goes. I'd say we're more planned than we are unplanned, but something like game day, we go in with a clear plan of what we're going to do. And some things on that we plan to do and they won't work. Other things will just pop up out of nowhere and that'll be the best thing you've done for the day. So it's just balancing, being prepared to just do things on the fly. But at least, like, I don't want to, like, diss anyone, if that makes sense. But at least from what I've heard from my colleagues about, like, how they have conversations with other people at other clubs, like, they don't really plan and prepare as much as we do. And that's a credit to my managers as well. Like particularly Luke Williams, who runs our whole digital department. He's one of the best, most planned managers I've ever had. So a lot of it comes from like a cultural thing of, it'll be very rare if you ever find something that us as the social team or the digital team aren't prepared and planned for, really.
When you say something doesn't work, is that not working in terms of the actual filming of it didn't work how you wanted it to, or you post it and it doesn't do as well as you wanted to? What?
Either or, both. Like, we can have an idea that we're gonna go ask this player to do this thing, and all of a sudden we realise they're in a bit of a bad mood or they're just locked in that day. All right, we'll leave them alone. But yeah, all the same thing. We try, it doesn't work. And then, yeah, it does correlate as well to we'll post it and go, oh, that absolutely tanked it. But, oh well, it is what it is.
Do you keep things up if they do really poorly, or do you just, you keep them up?
Unless it's receiving really bad like feedback from people.
Yeah, of course.
But even then, we had a video a couple of weeks ago about one of our fans in the cheer squad that makes like a real like woo-woo loud really sound. And on Instagram, on TikTok, people loved it. And then she was just getting all these hate comments on Facebook and Instagram. And instead of deleting it because it had performed well, we just turned the comments off.
Yeah.
But it'd be very rare that, I can't even remember the last thing we would ever delete because it's performed badly. It's
funny. All it takes is a post to end up on the wrong side of a platform and you have all the people that want to say something coming out of the woodworks. Working for the biggest club in the land, and I don't know how much you can touch on this, so take this where you want to, but do you often want to remind people that it's not the social media team that run out onto the football field and it's not posts on social media that, impact performance and things like that, or it doesn't affect you and your team at all?
It doesn't really affect us. Like, we ride the highs and lows of the men's team and the women's team and even the VFL teams and all that. But, like, we like to say that we're the voice of the club. Any news from anyone, players, the team, the coach, like, we have to give that to the fans. And so, like, that means we have to ride that wave with the fans. Like, if the sentiment's pretty low, like I guess it has been the past month, like, we won't be posting or just gallivanting about, like, because we'll get, like, the feedback will be bad from that. But at the same time, to say this first few months of the season, we were absolutely riding the wave that we were flying. So, yeah, it's interesting, but we're not really affected by it. We know how to read the room and, like, yeah, this is the right time to post this, or should we make something a bit more clickbaity or not, because we know that the defense is a bit of an issue at the moment. But yeah, you kind of just have to, read the room and go from there.
I love that you mentioned the team rides the roller coaster, because I think so often people assume that the club is sort of separate to the winning and losing, if that makes sense. But so much of your job is reliant on, I mean, a post is different at that final siren, whether you win or you lose. You know, we either have the graphic with the F and the T and the full stop, or we have an awesome graphic celebrating a win. So your job is also impacted by the performance. Yeah,
of course. And like TikTok views, if we win, they'll fly. And if we lose, if it's a good video, it'll still go all right. But if
probably
not,
all the Carlton fans in the comments
maybe.
giving you a good boost.
But yeah, if we lose, like, they won't go as well. But it comes and goes, and people will hear Fly say this a lot, that like on a Monday or whatever day it is, like, you'll come in and you won't know whether we've won or lost, and that's both teams as well. And that's like a club culture thing. Like, even last year, where it was a much worse season than this year, I would say this to my family and everyone. They're always like, "Oh, how's Collingwood going at the moment?" I'm like, "It's chill, man. Like, everyone's happy, everyone's willing to have a laugh, everyone's just having fun. Like,
it's never as good and it's never as bad as it seems."
Yeah, it's not. And at the same time, I'm kind of that type of person as well. I don't really, like, go too high or too low. So I will always say that things are pretty fine. But yeah, they're just players. They're just doing their job, and at the end of the day, who cares?
They're just humans.
Yeah.
Have you loved getting to know the human element of the players behind the scenes and getting to showcase that on your socials?
Yeah, it's particularly with my role. Like, within our digital team, I probably have one of the closer roles with the players than what some others might. Like, I get to know them in a weird way that I'm asking them all these random questions. I'm trying to scare them with a little spider in a box in the hallways. But yeah, it's pretty cool to know that, like, a few years ago, these guys are all these, like, crazy AFL stars, and now I just know them as Nick and Braden. But yeah, I never lose sight of it that these are, like, people's idols. Even I took my daughter into the club a couple of weeks ago, and my partner's mum was like, "Oh my God, did she meet this player and this player and this player? Oh my God, this player, did she get a photo with her before I did?" I'm like, they're just people. Like, it's all good. Like, they're just doing their job just like how I do my job. But yeah, it's pretty cool getting to learn a completely, or even not even learn it, but like, you get to see them differently, because they come out of their shell when no one else, the media, is around.
Absolutely. They're a different human when they're outside the white lines, and you get to see that. What motivates you every day? Because I think we can get caught up in the rat race working in this industry. I mean, especially in a sporting club, every week is a new game. A week is a long time in football. But what keeps you motivated day to day?
I think it's just that constant improvement, always wanting to try and do things differently and better. I don't know. I don't really think about that too much. I'm not really, like, as much as I should. I don't really have, like, goals and all that sort of stuff. I kind of just go with the flow a lot.
It's working for you?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, interesting question. I just say getting better all the time, learning new things, trying new things, just progressing all the time, I guess.
I love that answer. Learning every single day and getting better. That's what we should all be striving for as humans. You have had so many awesome jobs in the industry already, and you're so young. What is the biggest shift, do you think, you've seen in any aspect of your jobs over the years, whether it be the use of social media, how clubs are absolutely embracing it these days, the TikTok ladder? I mean, we wouldn't have imagined 5 years ago there'd be a TikTok ladder. What's the biggest shift you've seen?
I think that, at least from our perspective, like, we can see that a lot of other clubs are really putting in more time and effort now to, like, make it an important thing. Like, they understand that it's just how the world is now. It's where everyone is on social media. and that it's how you can tell people stories, share experience of the team, tell people different sides of the players. But I think it is just like a quality thing, I'd say, if there's one thing. It's hard to like pinpoint specifically, but I think everyone's just slowly investing more and more time into it. It becomes more and more saturated at the same time.
The teams are getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah. And it pushes us to always want to keep improving and evolve and do things differently. So I'd probably say the quality's been... Because a few years ago, like, say, TikTok, for example, like, people were just doing dances. And now it's a whole different wide range of things that you could possibly... Like, it's so much more planned
TikTok
and thought out.
is wild when you break it down, hey?
Wow. When you break it down to the level that we do as well, it's extremely complicated when it probably shouldn't be. But if I think that other clubs are doing what we are doing, then yeah, it's like everyone just wants to put out cool stuff that other people, for some reason, care about.
How much inspiration do you take from the other clubs? Because the AFL media market is so saturated in this day and age. There are so many teams, and even local footy clubs are now jumping on the TikTok social media bandwagon. How much inspiration do you take from them, or even international codes like the NBA and the soccer and all kinds of things?
Personally, I don't look at a lot of other AFL clubs myself. I think if I had to pick one, it'd be Hawthorn for TikTok, and I think like it's widely known that they're really good at that. I look at NFL teams a lot for inspiration, even though I don't even follow the sport. I just know my like go-to clubs. I always search up and see what they're up to. I'm a big Premier League guy, so as much as like they're sort of good at it, sort of not, they're kind of everything kind of pops for them because of how big and well known they are. But I'm a big European sports guy, so that, NFL. But we kind of draw inspiration from just general trends as well. Like, we don't want to try and stick just down sport and footy. We try and, like, if something's trending in, I don't know, I just posted a TikTok about a trend to do with Hamilton the musical, and we made it into us. So it's wider than just sport, really.
I think that's why Collingwood's so good at it, because you're getting inspiration from so many places, and you're not just getting it from the football sort of bubble, because sometimes we can get trapped in an AFL bubble. Hey, completely off topic to media, but even just as a fan and a person that lives in Melbourne, it's very easy to get trapped in the AFL is everything bubble. Hey,
yeah, and especially when I say that I like look at other clubs and see what they're doing, a lot of them are sort of stuck in that footy bubble, whereas we try to reach that wider audience. But yeah, it's easy to get stuck in, and there's a lot of things as well that we see things that we think are funny, or we film things like that, and we're like, do people actually care about this, or do we think it's cool because we know who these guys are that aren't the footballers? So we're always asking ourselves that same question, but yeah, it is kind of easy at the same time to get stuck in that little sports footy bubble.
Random one for you. Being at Collingwood, such a big club, is there lots of processes you have to go through before it gets on socials, or do they have a lot of trust in the team that you're just going to look after the brand and the people you're posting?
There is a lot of trust. It depends what it is. Like, if it's something that's more sensitive, like things to do with Sir Doug Nicholls' round and all that sort of stuff, like there's a few more checks and more people will look over it. But most of the time, other than checking the captions to make sure I haven't made a spelling mistake, like people, and even then I have enough trust that most of the time I get it right. Not many people would look over a lot of things, but there's a lot of us that have hands and touch a lot of things. So it's rare that one person will just go out and do something by themselves and post it before anyone else has seen it, knows about it, whatever. But there's not really that many strict processes, really.
Lots of touch points. That would be my downfall. I cannot spell. That's why I talk for my job,
I couldn't either. It's like 95% of my job is doing captions on videos. I think we're one of the only clubs in the world that captions every single video.
Wow.
Unless it's captured on game day and it's just quick, get it out. But yeah, even massive Premier League sides, NBA sides, NFL, they don't put captions on videos.
You're out there typing them away.
Yeah, forever learning how to spell.
I love that. I would still not be able to spell, but lucky spell check's a thing, so go me. But you've had some incredible experiences, and I've absolutely loved hearing your story today. Is there a piece of advice you've been given along the way that's really stuck by you?
I don't know if I've ever been really given much like direct advice.
Would you like to give the listeners some direct advice?
I don't know. I think a lot of it's like mentality. Like I said at the start, like you get in what you get out in a way. If you're willing to put in the effort to try new things, learn new things, just do your job to the best you can, like you always keep improving and being better and learning new things along the way. I think the main thing I've always learned or always said from my journey and my experience is that when it came go time with like the internships, I just put my head down and worked as hard as I could to get that opportunity. And I think it's just take those opportunities when they come. You don't know how big or how small it could end up being. Like for me, the internships ended up being extremely important. So yeah, just realize when there's something there to grab and try your hardest to grab it.
I'd say there is a lot of people out there that would love to work at Collingwood Football Club. I think if it's not your dream to play at Collingwood, anyone in the media or business landscape would love to work there. If there's someone listening that wants to be you, wants to be Ethan and sit in your chair one day, what should they be doing right now to get there?
Stop working because I like my job. Interesting question.
Is it just to get your hands dirty, just get as much experience as you can?
I think so, but as much as like you need to have that experience behind you, like you need to be the right type of person as well. Like there's not like a specific type of person that will fit in a Collingwood, but like all the things I've described previously, if you're just happy, like get on with your job, work hard, willing to have fun, then that'll get you a lot further than any physical skills that you have. I joke with my boss all the time that I got hired because of the type of person I am and not the actual skills that I had. And I don't think I'll ever get a job because I'm the most talented person. I think I'll get jobs because of the hardworking, like enthusiastic person that I am. And I've kind of had that mentality since I was in school as well, that if people aren't going to like me for how I am as a person, then like why would I want to work for you? So I think mentality and just your personality and the way you go about life would be more important than any actual skills.
Ethan, you have been such a wonderful guest, but we do wrap up every episode with asking our guests to describe their journey in one word. We can go one sentence. I'll be really kind because everyone struggles with
a
this
lucky
one.
snowball. I know you said it's not lucky and you create your own luck, but I very much think that the opportunities were lucky that they popped up for me, and I know that I probably did do my best to take them, but I still do think that I got lucky with how I ended up here. And my job itself is a very lucky position to be in, so I don't forget that.
A lucky snowball. I've just loved this chat so much. I'm sure you can tell by my smile. Thank you so much for sharing your insights and your story with us today, Ethan.
No, thank you. It's been really fun.
You've been listening to The Grad Perspective, where we dive into the real journeys of Homesland Bachelor of Sports Media and Business graduates. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at thegradperspective.pod and share this podcast with a friend. We will be back next week, same time, same place, with another fabulous guest.